So first, what is CSS? Of course, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. As I told you, if I'm gonna compare HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to the human being, HTML, it will be just like the skeletons, the bones. CSS, it will be like the skin. And JavaScript, it will be like the muscle, which allow you to move. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS describe how the HTML elements they will display or they look like on the screen. Of course, with CSS, we can control the layout, multiple pages. That means you can control how the element will look like. Most of the time, we can use CSS in many different ways. We can use it as an inline style, which we'll never use, but most of the time we'll use it as an external sheet CSS file. So if I go here, for example, all the time your CSS should be separated from your HTML. You should not have any style tag in your HTML. Whenever you want to link your CSS, you just type link like that, and then you have CSS this way. So the relation is style sheet, and the href here, style.css. Of course, you can modify this one, which will be /styles style.css. Okay. Now the general syntax for CSS, you need a selector, and after that, in this selector, you need a curly brace, and you need opening and closing curly brace. And after that, you will have a property and value. And after that, you need to end it with semicolon. Property, a value, you need to end it with semicolon, and so on. But what do I mean by that? What is a selector? Can anyone tell me what is a selector?
It's, for example, a tag from HTML or a div, a name of a div.
So, yeah, good. So I told you the CSS help us to style our HTML. And in order to style our HTML, I need to find a way to select a specific element. Let's say here in the body, I have a header. And inside the header, which is semantic tag, I have h1. And this h1, for example, I just say hello, hello world, for example. Like that. I need to find a way to select this element in my CSS. And that's what we call the selector. We have different type of selector. First, we have something called universal selector, which is asterisk. Can anyone tell me what asterisk is doing?
We'll select all the elements.
Exactly. So asterisk is universal selector. It selects everything, everything. Now here, for example, if I say the color is red, for example, and as you can see, the properties is the value, and it's ended with semicolon. And that's selector. And here we start with curly brace, and you put your value here. Now, if I go to my, which I don't have, actually, I need to open it in my live server. Let's go live. So as you can see here, let me just remove this one, open my DevTools. As you can see here, because I use universal selector here, and I'm saying I want the color to be red, it will select everything here. And here I just have H1 here, it's selecting the H1 and give it a color red. If I try to add a paragraph here, let's just add a paragraph and I say hello again, it will also be red.
You will see.
It's also red. Guys, one of you, his mic is open. Okay. Is the idea clear of the universal selector? What is universal selector? Yes, no?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes.
Good. So after the universal selector, we have something called element. We can select any HTML element using the element tag itself. For example, if I want to select the P tag here, I can say P, and here, for example, I can say the color I want it to be, I don't know, blue, for example. Now, what do you think will happen? Do you think the color of the paragraph now, it will be red or it will be blue, and why?
It will be blue because we specific. We put the P.
Good. Okay, if I move the B from here and I put it before the universal selector, what will be the color of the paragraph?
Red.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
No,
because it
it's
goes,
always
it goes line by line.
It's
Okay,
always blue.
let's see. Actually, it's blue. Why?
It's
No,
more specific.
because it still have
Because of specificity.
Yes, indeed. But do not talk all of you at the same time, because like that, I will not know how to. I don't understand first, and second, it will not be useful. So what you need to understand that CSS has some rules. You need to understand these rules. What do I mean by that? Well, yeah, we have different selector, but some selector are more specific, okay, or stronger, let's say, if you want to understand it this way, comparing to others. More specific comparing to others. What do I mean by that? Well, if I say universal selector, and as you can see, universal selector here, the specificity is 0, 0, 0. So we take, that's how it is, 0, 0, 0, that means it has the lowest specificity. So it's the weakest selector. But now if I go to the element, I hover over the element, notice it's 0, 0, 1. That means it's more specific comparing to the universal selector. That means it doesn't matter if the p tag at the top or the other bottom. If I am using an element selector or p selector here, whatever it is, if I'm using the element selector, it is more specific comparing to the universal selector. That means the style here, it will be applied. Is the idea clear or no?
Yes.
yes.
One?
It's clear, yeah.
Good. So if we're gonna start with the specificity here, it has the lowest. Of course, to make a comment in CSS, I will just type lowest specificity. To make a comment in CSS, it will be just / asterisk / That's how we make a comment in CSS. So this one here, it's the lowest specificity. If we are using the element selector, it has higher specificity comparing to the universal selector. I think that should be clear now. Fine. Now, is that the only way to select an element, or there are some other ways?
Other ways,
Class and
Well, there is other ways, like what?
With
like
dot and
a
hash.
name in a div or in a class.
Okay. The div, it's an element, we've seen the element. It doesn't matter to be P, any element you can select it this way. But now we need to introduce two new concept, which is the classes and IDs. What do I mean by that? What is a class? A class is just an attribute. It's an HTML attribute. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's go to my P tag here. Inside the opening tag, because I told you all the time the attribute in the opening tag, I can add something called class. And class is equal to, and now here I can give it a class name, whatever I want to. For example, I can just say paragraph, like that. Okay. Now I give a class to my element. But okay, what's the difference between universal selector, element selector, and class selector? How can I show it in my CSS? Well, when we are using a class selector here to select it in our CSS, I need to add dot and the name of my class. Simple. Clicky, voila. And I'll do the same. Nothing biggie. Okay, that should do not use the rule set. It's fine. Now I need to add all of them the same idea, by the way. If it's a universal selector, element selector, or a class selector, I will just put the selector here, and then I will open curly brace, as you can see. And then now I can add my property. And let's make the color here green, for example. Green. And now my question for you, if I go now and see the paragraph, what color do you think it will be? Will it be red, blue, or green?
Green.
Why?
Because it's more, it has more specificity.
Indeed. If I hover over the class here, as you can see, the specificity is 0, 1, 0, and 0, 1, 0 is higher than 0, 0, 1, which is higher than 0, 0, 0. So the class is more specific comparing to the element selector. It doesn't matter if this one is the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm selecting the same element and it has a class, the style in the class, it will override the element, and it will override, of course, the universal selector. To make sure here, let's go back, and voila, it's green. Is it okay so far?
Yes,
it's okay.
But you need to interact with me because the idea here in CSS, you need to understand it. Okay, that's fine. Currently, we have at least 3 selectors. We have universal selector, we have element selector, and then we have a class. We are using a class. I can add something else actually if I want to, which is an ID. I can just type ID. And here, for example, I need to give it an ID and I can say, for example, my paragraph, for my paragraph. Or maybe it will be a good idea to write the whole name just to give it a good ID. Like that. Now, I add an ID as well. So I had a class, now I add an ID. And my ID is called my dash paragraph. We are using a kebab casing here. It's really depends, but most of the time we use kebab casing until we use a beam here, which is just a style or a way to name our classes or IDs, if you want to call it. Okay, now that's fine. I have my ID here. How can I select my ID in CSS? Well, it's quite simple. I will just add an hash sign like that, and I will put the name of my ID like that. Voila. And of course, now here, if I put a color, and let's name the color, let's say, what color do we need? What other color we have? Red, blue, green, yellow. Okay. What color do you think my paragraph will be now, and why?
It's yellow.
It will be yellow. Why?
More specificity than other.
Indeed, indeed. So the ID, as you can see, it's 100. So the ID is more specific than class. And the class is more specific than the element selector. And the element selector is more specific than the universal selector. And voila, that's simply the rule here. Of course, there is one other selector we can add, but you will never use, which is inline style. The inline style has a higher specificity. For example, if I say style and I say color, and I want the color to be, let's use black, for example. If I do so now, I go to my paragraph, it is black. Why? Because the inline style has the higher specificity. It's more specific than universal element class and ID, but you will never gonna use this way. Okay, so I'm not gonna include it here, just for your information. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
It's very important on CSS to understand the rule. If you don't understand the rule, you will not be able to style your website the way you want to. Okay, that's good. Now, my question here, what's the difference between a class and ID?
The ID is just for one element,
Mm-hmm.
and the class it's for example for a container or for more elements.
Okay, now, is my code is correct this way?
No.
Why?
We can use class multiple time in one tag, but
Yes.
we use ID only one time.
So we are allowed for each element, the ID must be unique. That's what we call it ID. So I'm not allowed to use the same ID with 2 different elements, but with the class, yes, I can, of course I can. But with the ID, I cannot. As you can see here, green, 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 because this one has an ID, it's yellow. And it's quite simple. So the difference between a class and ID, you can use the class multiple times. That means they are usable, but the ID you are not allowed. It's unique for the element you are using. I think that should be clear. Most of the time, we are use classes. Sometimes we use ID if we have a very unique element in our website. For example, for the main, let's say I have a main here. I put everything inside main. So let's say we have main like that. And I can give my main here, let's say an ID, because I only have one main inside my page. So it's a good idea to give it a unique ID maybe. But most of the time we use classes because they are usable. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
And that's what we call the specificity in CSS. Now, there is another thing I'd like to mention here, which is a little bit quite important as well. Let's say I have, instead of ID, we understand this one, but let's remove this ID. I don't want it anymore. Let's add two classes to our element here. Of course, you are allowed to add more than one classes. Let's here paragraph, and here's a class. Let's name it S, for example. This, of course, is bad naming for a class, but just to show you. And now my question here, if I say S, of course, it's a class, so I need to say dot S. And let's say the color here, I want it to be orange. And my question here is, well, what will be the color of my paragraph now? Will it be green or will it be orange, and why? So I have a paragraph. Let me remove those to make it simple for you. I have a paragraph, and this paragraph has two classes, paragraph and another class called is. I'm writing here paragraph color green, and also as the second class, it's color orange. Now both classes have the same specificity, but now there is another factor playing a role here. What do you think the color will be?
Orange.
Orange. Why?
It will be green.
It's CSS reading properties start to end.
Indeed.
That's why.
Indeed. So because those two have the same specificity, the one come after, it will overwrite the first one. So this style here is gonna override this one. The one come after has more specificity now here. That's how it works. So in CSS, if both of them have the same specificity, the one come later, it's gonna override the first one. And now if I go here, and as you can see, it's orange. Now, if I change the position here, and I make this one here, S here orange, and here this green, of course, it will be green now. Voila. You see the idea? Did you get the idea?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Samir, the
Yeah.
one that gonna win the style is the last class name.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, so the one that's gonna apply to the style is the last.
Yes, if notice my element has two classes, and this class and this class has the same specificity. Because they have the same specificity and I'm selecting the same element, the one come last, it will override the one come first. Clear, Rachel?
Yes, it's okay. No, that's Ramya. Ramya.
Yeah, it's clear.
Sorry, Ramya. That's rules for
Roma.
CSS.
Roma, yeah.
I did not create these rules. CSS has its rules. We need to understand these rules, and after that, we can work with CSS. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's clear,
Yes.
yeah.
Now I have one more thing. Let's say now, this one here is a class, and this one is a class, both of them for the same element, but this one come later. Now, if I come here, and before the class, and I add p tag here, P for paragraph, because it's paragraph. So I say, I'll add the element and the class. Which color do you think it will be applied? Orange or paragraph? And why? P here, it's for my element P tag here. It's a paragraph, and then I'm saying P dots is with a class. If I hover over this one, notice the specificity. It's 0, 1, 1. Here the specificity is 0, 1, 0. Why do I have here 0, 1, 1? Why?
Because now you are more specific. You say paragraph with the class S, apply this color.
Indeed. So if I use the element, if I combine selectors, that's what we call combining selector. If I add the element and the class, it will have more specific, or it will be more specific comparing the class alone. And now if I go, of course, the color, it will be orange, as you can see. So you need to be careful how you are using. If you add the element and the class, and if you hover over it, the specificity, now it will be 0, 1, 1. But here it's 0, 1, 0. And 0, 1, 1 is more specific than 0, 1, 0. Is the idea clear?
Yeah.
By the way, 0 here for the element, this one for the class, and this one for the ID. So if the value here is greater, that's the most important, that's the second important, and the other one is the less important. Okay, that's simply the different selector in CSS. Of course, we have more selector, we can combine other selectors, but for now, that's the basic. I hope the idea is clear. Okay, if that's the case, let's move to the second point. We've seen the syntax, we've seen the selector. I told you we have universal selector, and universal selector has the lowest priority. And then we have element selector. As you can see, we've seen how you can select an element. Then we have class selector, which is higher priority than the element selector and less priority than the ID selector. After that, I can combine the element and the class if I want to, or the ID, which will change the priority. And of course, I have the ID selector as well. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's clear.
We have another combined selector. Combined selectors is one more than one selector. We are combining them together. Let's take the first one, which is called the descendant. What do I mean by descendant? Don't worry, everything is recorded, everything is written here, and you can go back to the repo all the time. Just try to understand with me the concept. Now, what is a descendant selector? Let me remove this code here for now. And let me remove this one. Let me create a div. And inside this div, let's create, I don't know, let's create a p tag. And yeah, let's just create a p tag and say paragraph 1, for example. 1. And let's try to double this one like that. So click it. Let's make it paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have 5 paragraphs inside my div here. So if I want to select all the element, all the children, of course, we call this one a parent. The div is the parent of the paragraph. The paragraph here, all the paragraph are the children of the div. The div is the child of the header. The header is the child of the body. The body is the child of the HTML. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, anything inside the other, we call it its child. This one is the parent of this one. This is the grandparent of this paragraph. Okay, if I want to select all the p tags here inside my div, I can just be like that. So I'll say div, and I make some space and then p. So here, that's 2 selector, not 1 selector. What I'm saying here, I want you to select the div here, this div, of course, all the divs, but now I have 1 div here. And then after that, I want all the paragraph which are children or descendant of this div. That means everything, every paragraph here inside the div, it will be selected. For example, if I say the color red, now all of them, it will be red color. If I go now here, CSS, and as you can see, all of them are red. Is the idea clear? It's better to give it a class, so I'm gonna give it a class called parent, for example, parent like that. And I'm gonna replace the element here with the class. Of course, you can use the element, you can use the class, you can even use the ID, it's fine. It's the same, nothing changed. So that's what we call the descendants. All the children of element, you can select all of them using combined selector. So here I'm either I will rewrite the div, but if you use the div, that means all the div in your HTML, it will be selected. But I want just this div. And that's the reason why I give it a class to specify that I want only this div, but I want all the children of this div. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try to add a paragraph here, and let's add another element. Let's say, for example, I want another div, and inside this div, I have a paragraph like that. And I say, for example, let's name it paragraph 6, for example. Like that. And of course, if I go back here, paragraph 6 is also being read. Why? It's really not the child here. It's the grandchild, actually. It's the grandchild of the parent. It's not the child. Why it's also being color red?
Because of the p element
Because it's inside the parent, the div.
inside of the div.
No, it's not inside the parent. What inside the parent is the div. And here inside the div, I have this one. So all of those are children of the parent, but this one is not the children of a parent. It's a grandchild. Why also it's been selected?
Because you select there that all the P will be red. That's
Exactly. That's what we call the descendants. The descendant means It doesn't matter if they are children or grandchildren or grandchildren, as long as they are inside this div. It doesn't matter if it's child or grandchild or grandchild, it doesn't matter. It will select all of them. Is the idea clear? So this selector here means, or the descendant mean, no, for example, if I have a person and we say his descendant children, that means if it's his child or grandchild or grandchild, it doesn't matter. As long as they are inside this div. Anything inside this div paragraph, it will select it. It doesn't matter if it's child or grandchild or grandchild, okay? That's the reason why we call it descendant. Is the idea clear?
It's
Yes.
clear.
Good. Let's go to the second one. We have child selector, and notice this one is different, huh? The child selector, it will only select the children, the direct children. So if I go here and I replace, I just add this one here, this tag here, and notice here, now you will see something different with paragraph 6. So let's go here and refresh. See, paragraph 6 is not being color red. Why? Because this one here, it means direct children. That means only the children of the div it will be applied as a C style. If they are grandchildren, it will not be applied. If they are grandchildren, it will not apply. Only the children will be applied. Clear or no?
Yes.
So you need to understand what each one is doing from the beginning. When you understand all the rules, all the combined selector, after that the property, you need to understand the basic really well, and after that you can implement them by yourself, try them yourself, and understand them. Okay, we've seen the descendant, which is just the space, and then we've seen here the direct child here. Let's see what other combined selector do we have. We have something called div plus b. Now, if I add a plus b, that means it adjusts sibling. Adjust sibling mean brothers. Adjust siblings, that mean if the div come after the p tag, then it will be styled. What do I mean by that? Let's see. If I say the parent here and I say plus p, and I say the color red, let's see which one will be color red. None, it will be color red. Why? Well, because here I'm, no, actually I need to use div here. So let me use div. Div like that and plus p. And go back, none is red as well. Let me try to move this one here, X. And now it will work. Now, what's the reason? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that, I want you to select all the paragraph here, but the one is coming after the div. And of course, before, we did not have any paragraph coming after the div. So as you can see here, I have a div, but I don't have any paragraph coming after the div. But now if I add a paragraph after the div, so I need to have a div, and then after that, I need to have a paragraph, and then it will color now paragraph 6 with a color red. That's what we call adjust sibling. Sibling mean brothers. Is the idea clear? Yes? No?
Yes.
So this guy here, it will select the paragraph, but only if it come after the div. And as you can see, all of those not coming after the divs. But this guy here coming after the div, that's why it's selecting it. Now, if I add a div here, it will select number 3 as well. And it will give it a color red. And as you can see, well, 3 and 6. That's what we call adjust sibling. Adjust mean come after, and sibling mean brothers, because those are brothers. They have the same father or the parent. So this one and this one and this one and this one, all of them are siblings. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good. Nice. Let's go to the last one. And the last one here, it's a general sibling selector. So what do I mean by general sibling selector? This is a little bit different. Clicky. Clicky. So I need tilde here. So here, they do not have to come after each other. As long as I have a paragraph coming after the div, it doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be directly after it. It's okay, it was gonna select it. But as long as I have a paragraph coming after this div. In this case, I'm expecting paragraph 3, 4, 5, and 6, all of them be selected. And if we go here, as you can see, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of them being selected. Why? Because here it does not matter to come after it directly. Okay? It doesn't matter. But what's important here, it will select all the paragraph coming after the div. And here, after the div, coming paragraph 3, 4, 5, and here also 6 coming after this div. And of course, I don't use this div for now. It will be the same. Why? Because all of these four paragraphs are coming after the div, and now it will select all 4. And if I go here, refresh, voila. That's what you call general sibling selector. This adjust, it means come after directly, but general, it does not have to come after. It doesn't matter if it's after or after a few different elements, it doesn't matter. As long as I have a paragraph after the div, it will select it. But here it must be after the div directly. Clear?
Yes.
Good. We have something called pseudo classes. Can anyone tell me what are pseudo classes?
Yeah, it's fake
Yeah.
fake classes, yeah.
So pseudo, it just mean a little bit. Pseudo mean actually, it's from Latin, it means fake. It's not real pseudo. So what do I mean by pseudo classes? Well, pseudo classes normally they came after the selector, and then we have a colon. So all if you have any selector and after that you have a colon, one colon, not double colon, one colon, we call that pseudo classes. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have, to make it really simple, I will create an A tag, for example, and in this A tag, I will don't have an href, so I'm gonna just, it doesn't matter for me for now. And let's say hello here. And now here, if I want to select my A tag here, where is my A tag? I can just say A tag if I put a colon, not double colon, just colon. If I say see, now here I have a lot of pseudo classes. Everything after one colon, we call it pseudo classes. The most used is hover. That means when I hover over this element, there is also visited if it's a link. There's ins child. We'll see most of them now. But the most important one actually, I think it is hover. That means if we hover over this guy, so where is my hover? Voila. And let's give it, for example, a color red. What do I mean by that? So let's go to our A tag. Now our A tag, it has color blue, as you can see. This color blue here, where is this color coming from? Why it's by default blue actually. So by default here, it will be a blue because it's a link. But now if I hover over it, notice the color is being changed when I hover over it, right? And that's simply what we call pseudo class. So pseudo class here, after the selector, we use colon, one colon, not double colon. We will have some property like hover, like if it's visited. Visited means that someone click on it already, and so on and so on. We have a lot of pseudo classes, and sometimes they are useful really. They help us to determine the status of the element. For example, we have a tag.visited, let's say. If I say visited, and now if it's visited, that means I click on it, I will give it a color, for example, yellow. Let's save it like that, and let's go back. Of course, it does not give me color yellow, but if I click on it, see, now the color is changed. That means as the user has already clicked on it, he already visited this link. That's why the color changed to hello. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good. That's what we call pseudo classes. Okay, what else? So a pseudo class is used to define special state of an element. That means, for example, here, if the A tag is visited, just like I show you, if you hover over it, is it active or not active? Also, you can select first element if you want to, or ins child. Ins child, that means I want the third child, for example, or the fourth child. We will explain it later on. What do I mean by that? Let me explain it now, actually. Let's create a div. And let's create maybe P tag. Let's just name it 1, 2, 3, just to make it simple. Clicky, 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 clicky. And here I'll make it 2. I'll make it 3. I'll make it 4, I'll make it 5, and I'll make it 6. Okay. So if I want to select my div here, I'll just say div, for example. Of course, you can add a class to it if you want to, it doesn't matter. Now, if I say here, for example, first child, I can select the first element, the first paragraph. I can use first child, and I can give it a color, let's say, red. And now the first child, it will be selected. Why all of them are red? Not all of them should be red, actually. What is the mistake I did? Let's add a class container. I need a dot here. No, why first child?
Yeah, I think you have to write B first child after the container.
I need to write what?
B, colon, first child.
Ah, you are true, because I need to select the P tag, you're right. P,
Yeah, before the column.
yeah, so it will be like that. It's just, yeah, like that. So what I'm doing here, I'm selecting the container, and then as you can see here, I have the descendant. I'm selecting all the P, but I want the P to be the first child. So here what I mean, I want to select the P tag inside the container, but I want it to be the first child only. And if I go here, the first child is being read. I can also use the last child if I want to. Last, should have last child, yes. And now the last child, it will be selected. Voila. I can also use nth child. So let's click on this one. We have something called nth child. Now nth child, if I type here 2, that means it should select 2, 4, and 6 child. So let's go here. It does not work. Why?
Only the second.
Hmm?
In that case, only the second.
Yeah, but there is another one here. Yeah, I need even. We can
Even, yeah, or odd.
indeed even. I'm not sure if that's the syntax, but let's see. Indeed, now it's selecting the even. So it's even mean 2, 4, 6. Odd mean 1, 3, 5. And you can select the even, all of them now. You can select the odd if you want to, and now it will select all the odd for you, as you can see, 1, 3, 5. Of course, in child here, you can select, for example, number 3 or number 4, whatever you want to, and now it's selecting number 3, and so on. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Goody. We've seen the nth child. First child, nth child, yes, we've seen this one. Pseudo element, yeah, pseudo elements are a little bit different. Remember, their pseudo classes are coming after one colon here. Pseudo element, we can control them after using double colon here. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say I want to select here as a P tag. No, I want to select the div here with class container. So pseudo element are not real element. They're also fake element if you want to imagine them. So I need to add double column here, and I can add after or before. Sometimes we need to add some icon or some image before some element, but we do not want to add them in our HTML. We can add it from our CSS. Because we are adding it from our CSS, that's why we call them pseudo, because they are not real. If they are real, they will exist in our HTML, but no, we are using in this case here the CSS, and that's why we call them pseudo element. For example, before this element, I want to, for example, let's add background image, and background image here, I can add a URL if I'm not mistaken as a URL, for example. Maybe I can add a color. I'm not sure if I can add a color, background color or something. And let's see this one here. But let's see if that will work. No, it does not work because I do not really have an element. I need to give it a width. Let me give it a width or something. Width 20 pixel, height 20 pixel, and now it should show me something nice, little bit maybe. Nope.
Yeah, because you have to add content inside the pseudo element.
True. There's another property here. We'll say content. And content here.
No, just keep it empty with the single quotation or double quotation and keep it empty.
See, that will work. Yeah, now as you can see, if you go to your your HTML, you have the before element, but it has no content in it. So let's add some text here. Let's add blah, 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 for example, and see. And as you can see now here, this element exists. Now, this element we call a pseudo element because in reality, it does not exist in our HTML. We create it on our CSS, and that's why we call it pseudo element. And sometimes we need that. For example, sometimes we need to add a special image or letter or something that before some element. We don't use it a lot, but sometimes we do use it actually. That's what we call pseudo element. You can use before, you can use after, and you, of course, you are using here double colon for pseudo element. For pseudo class, you use only single colon. Is the idea clear? Yes? No?
In what situation do we use this pseudo element?
Let's say this pseudo element, let's say I need to show an image, small image, before this element. But I don't really want to add it to my HTML. So
Okay.
sometimes we can, for example, I can show the number 0 here if I want to, for example. Of course, you can do it in your HTML if you want to, but sometimes we don't want to add it to the HTML. So I want to add the text here, some text here, but I don't want to add it to my HTML. I just want to create it from my CSS. Most of the time, we use it to show some images, some letters, some stuff like that. Clear?
Okay.
Don't worry, we will see example in the future. Clear? No?
It's clear.
Good. You do not have to remember all the property. I'm not expecting from you to remember all the property. Even sometimes I forget this property, but I'm expecting from you to understand them. And of course, if you understand them like that, you will be able to Google them. If you forget some property, it's okay. It's not a bad idea. It's fine. I don't remember them. I've been using CSS for 4 years, so it's okay. But you need to understand each property. And for example, if you want to do something, you need to know that you have this property, and after that, you'll be able to Google it. Pseudo element, we've seen it. Attribute selector. Well, I can also select an element using attribute. Can anyone tell me what are the attribute of element? What are element attribute? What are element attribute?
Gives more information about tag.
So normally the attribute we studied before yesterday, they're just some, let's say, property we added to the opening tag, and it gives us more information about the element. For example, here, the attribute type tell me that this input is type text, and so on. For example, if I have a button, and in the opening tag, I can specify also the type and say the type is button. So attribute are just some property which exists in the opening tag, and it tell me or give me more information about the element. Of course, the attribute differ from element to another element. For example, the image, as we've seen, you have a source for the image and alt. For the input, you could have a type. For the button also, you can have a type, and so on. Is the idea clear? No? Yeah, maybe. Let's go back and see what do we have. So we can also select an element also using some attribute. For example, here you can use the A tag as the anchor tag, and you can select it here. It must be inside angle bracket or square bracket here. Square bracket, and you put the property, and then it's equal to double quote whatever property you're trying to select. What do I mean by that? Let's, for example, put here an input like that, and I can just put square bracket, and I can say type. It's equal to text, for example. And now it will select only the input type text. If I have another input type date, for example, it's not gonna select it. Of course, I need something like that here. And I can say, for example, background color, I don't know, blue. And let's see. Color, let's make it also blue. And let's see what we have here. So as you can see now, it's only selecting the input, which is a type text. Click, that's the input type text, and making the background color blue, as you can see. It's not selecting the input type date. Why? Because simply I'm using a selector here. I'm using the input, but I'm specifying I want the type to be text. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good, good, good. What else do we have? Any class height or height. You can also use classes if we want to. So to select multiple element with the same class, if they include a class or not, you can use this description. I have to tell you, we don't use those most of the time, so rarely we are using them. For example, if you want to any class start with height, okay, or with height something, this background color, it will be implemented. What do I mean by that? So let's go and see. How can we implement it? It's class. Let's click on that and say class. And I think it should be something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Let's say class test. Let's go back again. Yeah, so that's mean. So for example, let's create multiple element, p tag. Let's name it 1, p tag 2, p tag 3. Let's say this one has a class, which name it test. This one has a class test1, and this has class which is test2. And we select all of them, and what I need to do here, just me add just a color here. Let's make it color blue as well. Clicking. If I go to our element, only the first one is being selected because it's a test actually. Yeah, but should be something else actually. Let's go back. Any class height or height in here.
Maybe double quotes.
No, it doesn't matter really. Even if I use double quote, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Nope, it's selecting only the first one. So here it's selecting only this guy. Let's remove this one here. And selecting no one because that's not the correct selector, I think. I think it should be asterisk if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Should not be like that. It should be asterisk. So if I use asterisk like that, it will select any class start with or include TS. So it doesn't matter if it's a TES from the beginning or the end, it will select all of them. And if you look at it, now I select all these elements with these classes. By the way, it does not matter if TES from the beginning or the end. So for example, if I type something else, let's just say blah, 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 and it's end with TES. TES. Like that, it should select it again. And it's indeed it selected it. So if this class TES included in any class, here is TES, here is TES, here is TES, it will select all the elements because here it's just doesn't matter if the asterisk is mean if this class here included in any element with any class of those. That means it doesn't matter if it's from beginning or the end, it doesn't, or in the middle. What's important here if it's include TES. Now here, if we remove the letter S, now it should not select the last paragraph, and indeed it does not select it. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Good. Here, I think Yeah, so this one here, it must be exactly like height or height dash. So for example, if I go back here to the first one and I put a vertical bar, now here that is what's important here for this class, it must be exactly like this one, TES. And if it's not the same exactly, or it TS dash, it will also accept it. But for now, let's remove dash. If the class is exactly TS, it will select it. If not, it will not select it. So let me remove this one. And for now, it will not select this one. It will not select this one. And it will select only this one. Why? Because the class must be exactly like TES, like that. Or TES dash. So let me create another element and add TES dash. And it should select it as well. 2 here, 3, and 4. Now here it should select both elements here. And if we go to the paragraph here, it selects the element 1 and element 2, as you can see. So if you add a vertical bar here, that means any element with this class, exactly like this class or TS dash, it will select the element. Other than that, it will not select it. Is the idea clear? Yeah,
Yes.
good. The second one here, it was this what we called caret. Now the caret here, that means it starts with something. What do I mean by that? Let's put our caret here. And that would mean if any class start with TS, for example, I'm starting with TS, let's now test. Now it will select, if I add this one as well, because this class start with TES, this one start with TS, this one start with TS, it will select all these 3 elements. This one, it will not select it because it does not start with TS. And if I go here, it should not select 3, it should select the rest, and voila. Okay. Now we have here that mean end, if it end with something. So the $ mean it end with something. So caret is start with asterisk. It doesn't matter if it contain vertical bars, that mean it need to be exactly like it. So now if I put a $ here, that mean it will be end with this one. For example, this one here does not end with TS. This one, actually this one end with TS. Yes, because it end here. This one here is end with TS. This one not. This one not. So now it should select 1 and 3 actually. So let's go here and refresh, and indeed 1 and 3. And voila. We don't use this one a lot, but it's good to know. So what are these guys here? Again, the vertical bar means that the element must have the same class exactly, or the same class followed by dashes, or this here minus. The caret means that the class need to start with this one. It doesn't matter what it ends. The most important thing is start with this one. Here, the $ means that the class need to end with this one. I don't care about the beginning. And asterisk means I don't care if the class start or end or in the middle. I am just care if the class contain T and E, both of them. If they include both of them, then it will be implemented. Is the idea clear or not?
Yeah.
Good. We have colors. I think you know colors here. So we can describe colors in many different ways. The easiest value here. For now, we'll not discuss a lot about color. Just you can use here hash and different number here, or you can just add any color you want to. Of course, when you select any color, here you will have this picker here, and you choose a color you want to. You can use RGB. You can use this one here. What do we call this one again? What do you call this color here? Hexadecimal?
Hex.
Yeah, hexadecimal or
Yeah,
hex.
hex.
Okay, you can use HSL. So there is different way actually to describe the color here. For now, we will not focus a lot about the color because they are quite simple. They're not really difficult. Background, you know it's a background. Also, you can use the same color here. You can use background image, background repeat if you want it to be repeated. If you don't want to repeat it, no repeat. Where do you want to position it? At the top, at the center, or cover? Simply like that. Border, that means each element should have a border. You can control the border here with multiple property. The order does not matter really. So for example, if I have a p tag, I want the border to be 2 pixels, I want the color to be red, and I want the style to be dashes. So let's try to, do I have any p tag? Yes, I have. Let's select the one with class called test, like that. And I want the border here to be 4 pixel. I want it to be red. And here I want it to be dashes, for example, dashed like that. And now if I go back to my element here, click, see? So that's my border here. It's 4 pixel, the width. It's red and it's being dashed. And we have many multiple property actually. A block. We should have actually block if I'm not mistaken. No,
You mean solid?
yeah, solid. Voila, and it's solid now. So you can have multiple property depending on the border really. Sometimes the order does not matter really. You can put this one in the beginning, this one is the end, it does not matter. What else? Margin. Well, let's see the margin. Now the margin here, you can add it in many different ways. What do I mean by that? So I can start from the top. I want the margin top to be 10 pixel. I want now to the right to be 3 pixel. I want to the bottom to be 6 pixel. And I want the left to be 9 pixel, for example. So it starts this way, top, right, and down here. And after that, we have left. As you can represent the margins this way if you want to. Okay, as you can see, clicky, inspect. And of course, you can change this value if you want to here. Let's notice, let's increase it. Like you see, has the top one here. So the top one now is increased as a margin top here. The margin is the space between the element and the other element. If I want now top to the right here to increase it, and now notice that the right here now I'm increasing it. The one here to the bottom, if I want to increase it, now it's a button here, it will be increased as you can see. That's the button here. If I want the one to the left to be increased, well, I can just select this guy here and now I can increase it using my arrow keys, as you can see. Or you can represent the margin in another way with 2 value. You can represent it by 4 value. If you are representing it by 4 value, it will be top. That's the order, top, right, bottom, left. But I can also represent it by 2 value only. For example, if I say 10 pixels, 10 pixels like that, and here 5 pixel. If I have 2 values, this value here, it will be top and bottom, and this one here, it will be right, left. And voila. And of course, if I click on this one here, as I told you, it will be top and bottom, as you can see. And here it will be left and right, as you can see. Clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Now we have some icons also we can add. For example, Font Awesome. You know, Font Awesome, it's just some icon. We can add it to our website to give it a nice, for example, good looking. Here's a link. You need to include this script at the top, at the head of your HTML. And after that, you can just add a class and say, for example, FAS, FA, and car. And like that, it will show you car. Actually, let me copy this one and paste it to show what the icon we have. Yeah, maybe that's not really a good idea, or maybe it is. Let's link our CSS. It was styles, if I'm not mistaken. Slash styles CSS like that. And yeah, let's go to our div now. Website clicky. And it looks like I have nothing. Yes, I have my icon here, but I have nothing here inside my. Why I don't have my icon?
Maybe the size of the color of the icon is
Let's see. Let's try to give it a color or something. Nope. Maybe I don't have a face. Does anyone remember any classes of Font Awesome? FAS.
Where is it?
Maybe you can check the website. Let me check the website.
FA-solid.
FA dash solid only?
Yeah, space FA-sheet.
FA dash cheat?
SHEET.
SHEET like that, but here is FAS or FA?
No, FA only. And in the end, after sheet, also dash plastic. Dash plastic.
Like that.
Plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Nope, that means my link is not correct. So let's go to Font Awesome. Font Awesome. If I go to Font Awesome like that, and I should include documentation. I need to go to the documentation. And the documentation, it should tell me how to link it.
You need to install the CDN,
CDN. So I can type CDN.
or just type Font Awesome CDN in Chrome. You get the link, then copy and paste it.
Yeah, but it's a good idea actually to go through them. Where the hell is the CDN? I don't find any CDN. Icon, no.
No, he mean in other websites.
Just type CDN in a new tab. Font Awesome CDN. You get the link for it to work.
Just see here. I think I have something here. CDN Font Awesome. I'm not sure, but let's see font. No, I don't have it. CDN Font Awesome. So let's go again. Font Awesome CDN. But now I have Font Awesome actually 6, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Font Awesome library. Let's click on that. Voila, that's the CDN.
I copy the first one.
Yeah, I want to include it in my HTML. It will be the script.
No, all mean the first one. Yeah, inside link. I use it also. Yeah, this.
Copy URL. Let's go. Should I include it in the head? Will it work?
Yeah,
No.
but
You
you
have
have
to type
to
link.
add it inside link, like the style CSS.
Just link.
Yeah,
Copy
here.
this.
Add the link. Yeah.
Let's see if that will work. I don't know. Let's see. Yes, actually it works. And now if I inspect it, as you can see, I have some icon here. Yeah, okay, that's fine, not bad. Anyway, you need to add a link here and then the href, and you need to Google the CDN and you need to include it here. And after that, of course, to search for the icon, you just go to Font Awesome and you say Font Awesome. Of course, the last version, I think Font Awesome 6, and click on icons like that and click on that. And you have icons. Let's say I want, I don't know, I want a house. You will click on this one and you need to copy this guy, copy code snippet. Click on that, it's copied. And now I can remove this one here, put it this way, and go back to my website, and I should have a house, and I do. Voila. Okay. What else do we have? Links, we've seen the links, that should be fine. List, you already know list, H1. There's a little bit different between display none and visibility. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between display and visibility?
Yeah, display, it hides the element. Visibility hide the element, but keep the place inside the page. But display, it hide it permanently. So
that's good. So let me select this div. I'm going to give it a class just to make it clear. Class, and here I'll say container, like that. And let's copy this one, the container here, like that. Voila. And here, let's give it a width, 300 pixel. And here, let's give it a height, 300 pixel. Let's give it a color. Actually, it should be background color if I'm not mistaken. Not a color. background color. Let's give it something bluish. And now let's go see what we have. Maybe I can add some text here also. Hello. Let's go back, refresh this one. So that's my div here. Now notice what will happen here on this div. Now, if I say display none, it will remove the element totally. I don't have, so this element, it remove it totally. It take no space anymore. So I don't have any space for it. It just kind of removes the element totally. But if I say visibility none, it will not show me, but it will take the space for this element. Maybe it will be a bit clear if I add another thing, for example, paragraph, and I say hello, and do that again. And now let's go again and select our container here, and I just say, for example, display none. Notice what will happen to the paragraph. So the paragraph moved to the top. What happened to the div here? Because I say display none, it will remove it. Also, it will remove the space it was taken. But if I say visibility hidden, it will be a little bit different. Notice visibility hidden. So as you can see, yes, I don't see it, but it's still taking the space here. So it takes the space, and that's the reason why my paragraph does not shift to the top. Is the idea clear? Do you know the difference between display none and visibility hidden?
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay.
Good. What else? Yeah, width we've seen. You can use percent, you can do pixels, you can use max width. You can.
So I propose you pay the tax.
Samuel, you have a question or?
No.
We have position, we have overflow, we have float, we have display inline, unit, specificity we've seen, important, and we should be done. Okay, what do I need to explain now? We've seen the width positions. Yeah, you can position an element relative to another element if you want to. Sometimes it will be relative to the viewport, sometimes it will be relative to the parent, sometimes it will be relative to another element or the closest element to it. What do I mean by that? Let's go to our div here. We have a div actually. We already have our div, so clicking, and that's fine. And I will just say display. It was relative, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Position, yeah.
Position relative. Position relative. And now let's take another element. Now we have our paragraph here, P. And here I can just say position also. Now I can say it fixed. Fixed means that the position, it will be fixed with no, it will be as it is. It will never be changed, the position here. So if I choose a position fixed, it will fix this position of the P tag here. But what I can do now, if I have this property, I can add some other property. I can say top, for example. So now I can use top, and I say, for example, 13 pixel. And as you can see, it's been moved here. Voila, in here. I can say now top, I want, for example, right to be 500 pixel if I want to. And now it's moved to this position. I can add top right or left and bottom if I want to. So if the position is fixed, that means the element, its position is fixed as the name suggests. And if the position is fixed, that means I can now use some property called top right to position it according to the viewport, what I am seeing here. Is the idea clear? Yeah, no. Yes, no. Relative to the viewport here. It's actually, this one is quite important here. If the position is fixed, that means it's relative to the viewport. That means, what do I mean by relative port? So if I make this one 0, 0, so let's make top 0. Let's make right 0 as well. Not auto, I want it to be 0. 0. Where is the element? If I say top 0 and right 0, my element is here. So if I am using top and right, but if I'm using bottom and left, actually it will be better to use left and bottom. If I use left and bottom, it will start from here. Now the element by default has some styling. That's why we have some spaces here, because as you can see here, we have a margin 1am. That's by default. I told you some element by default has some styles. But if I say that the position is 0, 0, and I'm using top and right, the element starts here from this point here. If I'm using left and bottom, it will start from here, left and bottom here. If I'm using left and top, it will start from here. So let me use left actually, which will be more convenient. So position here, if I say top 0 and left 0. Voila. And now it will go to the corner here, as you can see. Is the idea clear? What do I mean by position fixed? Yes, no? Not clear? What's going on with you?
It's clear.
Samir,
So if I say any element position fixed, that means it will be either if I say top left, it will start from here and I can increase the top and the left to position it whenever I want to. If I say top right, it will start from here. If I say bottom left, it will start from here. If I say bottom right, it will start from here. Unlike that, I can position the element whenever I want to. And of course, the position of the element, it will be fixed. Should be clear. Okay, fixed is fine. What is static? Can anyone tell me what is static? If I say position static, let's go here. Actually, I need to show you, it will be better. Let me remove the text here so we don't have any confused. That's my hello here. Now, the position is fixed. That means if I increase the top, is my element moving, right? If I increase the left, my element is moving. But if I make the position here actually static, and I try, notice the top and the left now, the property here, they are not affected, which means if I make my element position static, I will not be able to use top and left, simply like that. Is the idea clear? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's clear.
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. We also have relatives. A relative mean it will be relative to the parent normally. So let's see, what do I mean? So let's say position here. Is this inside the container? No, let's put it inside the container. So I'm gonna put my p tag inside the container. And now here I'm saying position is relative, and position here, it should be absolute actually. No, this one should be relative. How that should work?
Yeah, it's correct.
Absolute. It's absolute, yeah. So absolute, now it will, if I say a position absolute, I can use top and left, but the point here, it will not be start from here. No, it will be relative to the parent element, which is inside. So this element here, it will be relative to this one. And to make it a little bit clear, let's refresh it. Let's go to our p tag here. And now if I say like that, so it will be relative to this element here. So if I say top is 0, left is 0, it will start from the element itself. It will not start from this guy here. Actually, to make it clear, maybe I can write right here. It will be more clear. And if I say right 0, so it starts from here, not from here. Okay, because this position here, it's relative to the parent. So 0 and 0 here, if I say 0 and 0, it will mean 0 and 0, it will be relative to the parent. It starts from the parent here, from here, here, or here, and here, and not here, and here, and here, and here. So it's not to the viewport, okay? It will be relative to the parent here. And the parent here is the diff, of course. Yeah? No? Maybe?
That is absolute. If it is absolute, it will inherit
So
from
yeah,
the div, not from the
normally if we have something inside the div here, so the div parent, you need to make as a position relative, and the child here, you need to make it absolute, and after that
Okay.
here, it will be this position top left, it will be relative to the parent. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sticky is the last one. Sticky, of course, that's mean it will be sticky from the name here. So it doesn't matter really. If I say sticky, and here, so sticky, whenever I don't have a lot of element in my page, so I cannot scroll it. If I scroll it or not, but if I have a lot of element and I try to scroll my element here, this element, it will show all the time. It's just like sticky note all the time showing. So if I scroll top and bottom all the time, it will show me my element, but I cannot scroll because I don't have a lot of element in my HTML. Is the idea clear? Yep. No. Maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Z index. So to show you the Z index, I need to create two divs here. First, does anyone know what is the Z index?
Yeah, it's layers.
Yeah, it's like which element it will be in the top of the element. It's just like which one will be in front of or behind. So let's say here container 2, container 2, container 1. I'll name this one 1 and 2. So just sorry, just to show you the Z index. So I name this one container 1. And this guy, I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna just copy this guy here. And voila. I don't really need the position anymore. I don't need this one. And here should be 2. And in here, let's make it something like ready. Right, like that. And if we go now to our website, refresh, what the hell is not implementing?
Because your spelling in container in index HTML is not correct. It's not the same in the CSS.
Are you
The spelling.
You spelled badly.
The
Con
line 13.
Container in the index.
Yeah, you're right.
That one, yeah.
Contain, I think it's correct.
Now
Now
it's
it's-
correct.
Okay, now container 2, it should be fine, I suppose. Let's see. Yeah, now I have these two guys. But to show you the Z index, really, I need to make this one here. Let's add position. Let's position it. Let's make it relative. And I make the body up. No, this one should be absolute, actually. Absolute. I make the body, because the body include all of them. So this is the parent. And I make it relative. Position. Relative. So what I want to do now, I make just this one top. And let's make it 10 pixel. And top and left, let's take it. And let's make it 20 pixel. I will adjust them according to my need. That's perfect. I just need to little bit maybe adjust it to see it a little bit better. Maybe here 10. Yeah. That's what I want to more. Okay, 78. It was top 78 if I'm not mistaken. 78. So what the hell is the Z index? Now, as you can see, I have two elements here. One element here, it's kind of, this red is kind of in the front and this blue in the back. But what if I want the blue here in the top? So I wanted to see the blue one and make this red one behind. Well, in this case, I can use something called Z index. So let me go to the blue one. Where is the blue one? Here. So what I can do here, I can just say Z index. And I can make it 1, for example.
Yeah, you have to add position.
No.
It doesn't work without position.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Position should be absolute as well. Let's see. Z index 2. And as you can see here. So now if I make the Z index 1, the blue one now is coming in front and the red one come in behind. But what if I want the opposite? Now, what if I want the red one in the front? So what I can do here, I can just remove the Z index from here and I go to the red one. And in the red one here, by default, I can add Z index. If it's not by default at the top, I can just say Z index 1 and it will be, yeah, it will be in the front, but by default it is. If I want the blue one to be, so I will click on it and I will add just Z index like that, and I can make it a little bit more, 2, 3. So if it's more, the NZ index here is more than the red one, it will come at the top. And that's simply the Z index. We call it Z index because this one here from here, horizontally, that's X axis, and vertically, that's Y axis, and the Z axis is what I see. And it's just like in front or behind. Is the idea clear of the Z index? Yeah, no. No? It's just to show which element it will show in the behind, in the front, and which element in behind. If you have some element like an overlapping each other. Okay, what else do we need to explain? The overflow. I don't want to explain the overflow now. It's to know that's enough. For now, I think that's enough. Yeah, we can continue tomorrow for the rest because that's too much property so far. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Any question? Question? No? Zero question? That's strange.
Maybe later.
Okay, now we understand just a little bit some CSS. Tomorrow I'm gonna explain a little bit more, give you more idea how display, especially flex, box, and grid was very important. Maybe some unit, and after that we can just maybe review also the positioning because positioning element are important. And now what you can do here, it's 10.5. We can take a break, 15 minutes, and after that you will come back and try to add or start to adding the style for your portfolio. Remember something, your style all the time should be separated. As I told you, you can put it in folder, whatever folder you have. You can name it styles or CSS, whatever you want to. A new file here should be separated. Normally, the order is we add general style, general styles. So general style, for example, universal selector, H1, stuff like that. Then we put more specific, and for the media query, all the time we put it at the bottom, media, like that. So first general, and make sure to add comment to your CSS to make it more readable and better.
Samir, and we can use something CSS file.
You can delete. If you are not using something, you can delete it. For now, we need only one file. Just one file you need. You can name it index.css or style.css, whatever you want to. Something we don't need it, delete it for now.
Okay.
Is that okay? And if you want to use font awesome, also I'm gonna share this link with you if you want. I don't know. I don't need that. So you need to go font awesome version 6, and you can include this guy here in the top, and it should work. So class here.
It's only in HTML, Samir, to put the font awesome. We also in CSS.
You can put it in CSS as well, but most of the time, at least for me, I put it in the HTML.
Okay.
CDN can be put in CSS, also it can put it in HTML, but most of the time, at least for me, I put it inside the HTML. Okay, let's enjoy our break, 15 minutes. It's 14, let's take a break until 11, and when we come back, we can start working now on our style slowly. And every day I will give you a little bit about CSS, like 13 minutes, because for today, it was the first day, I give you a little bit more, but you need also to study by yourself. So this property, even if I explain a million times, you will not understand them because you need to implement them yourself. There's a lot of other websites, W3 School, Tutorial Point, and also, of course, MDN. If you click on MDN and here go to CSS or HTML or JavaScript, so Click on that, it will give you everything about CSS with some very good example. And yeah, enjoy for now.
Okay.